Hey everybody, it's meteorologist Joe Chaffee here. A very interesting run of the GFS today, so I'm going to take you through that, and we're going to see what's going on over the next couple of weeks as we've been following this uh, whole line of pattern change issues and seeing what happens. And first off, I just want you to look at this is for the middle of this week. You see this big ridge that builds up in through eastern Canada. That's going to represent the pattern we're going to be in this week. And we have this big high that's going to be building up here in New England. So it's actually going to create an onshore flow. It's not going to get as warm as it otherwise would because of the position of the high. And then, of course, we have this Rockies snowstorm that's going to be lifting up to the northeast. So I'm just going to move this along a little bit. And you can see it lifts up way to our west. We get a cold front. What happens is each one of these weather systems moves on through in the flow. It brings this trough that develops in central Canada. Each one that goes by brings it a little further east. And then as each trough goes by here, we wind up turning a little bit colder as it goes by. And that process is going to start late next weekend and early next week. You can see this trough for the beginning of Thanksgiving week is going to wind up taking a storm to our west. It's going to get colder behind it. Actually, it'll be a pretty good shot of cold air, if this is correct, going into Tuesday and Wednesday of Thanksgiving week. Then that lifts out, and then we have another trough that rotates around this Canadian vortex. And I want you to notice here now, as we go through toward the end of next week, we have a split flow here in the Pacific. Here's the Pacific jet like this. Here's an upper high that forms over Alaska. You also have a ridge that builds very strongly just to the east of Greenland. So it's kind of sandwiching the vortex in Canada underneath it. So it looks like it wants to split that vortex that's up here in Alaska, Siberia, that part of that vortex winds up going back into Asia, and then we have this new one that forms over us. And this is what we've been kind of watching to see what happens. And as we move through beyond Thanksgiving, you can see here vortex forms and another shot of cold air with some sort of weather system to deal with behind that. And then when we take it through the last few frames, what I kind of find interesting is that vortex really doesn't move very much. It's pretty much sandwiched and I guess semi-blocked between the ridges on both sides as it tries to build over the top. So this is a fairly chilly flow. Now, whether it winds up being a stormy flow or not is going to depend on how the Pacific jet reacts here and what kind of weather systems it sends along. It has something, it's showing something here right around December 1st, there's a trough right through there, through the Great Lakes down to the Gulf states. Now, I want you to understand that as far as focusing on specific storms and what the model does, it's really kind of a waste of time to do that now because we know that everyone is going to be different. I'm really more interested in the flavor of the overall pattern. And here's that vortex in the west. You can see how it reforms to the southeast, it holds together here for a little while, and then as these ridges take hold, part of it starts to split away and move on. The ridge takes over. You have troughing here in Canada. You have this upper low that forms in Canada. So it continues to look like we are seeing a definite pattern change away from the strong ridges in the east, deep troughs in the west, to something much different, and will allow for much more activity to happen. Again, how it plays out still has to be worked out, and that'll be the job of the day-to-day forecast. But we are seeing a progression away from the warm pattern that we've been in probably for the last 6 weeks to something colder and at least closer to normal for this time of year. So we're going to keep watching it and see how it all plays, and we will, of course, keep you posted on this day to day. And I hope you're enjoying these video cuts that I'm doing. I'm having a lot of fun doing them. It helps me as a forecaster to visually see what's happening. And this is the GFS, and we'll take a look at what the European does a little bit later on.